What's going on, guys? I'm your boy Kevin. I'm here again. I got CJ here. I got Ryan here. Fellas, how are y'all doing today?
I'm doing. I went to my first WNBA game yesterday in my life.
What'd you
Sad
think?
the home team lost. It's very sad for our
The
Aces.
Aces. The Aces. A lot of fun.
A lot of fun, but sad they lost.
Ryan, how have you been, sir?
I've been doing pretty good. I've been doing a lot of video editing recently, preparing for
Mhm.
Big Brother Maryland's premiere next weekend, which I'm super
Big
excited about.
Brother Maryland, tell us about it at the end of the show. We'll
I
ask you about
will.
it at the end of
From
the
now,
show.
I'll keep my mouth shut. But I'm super excited about it, so I'll try to contain it. But yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Before we get into everything, first off, I want to thank Adam Pock. Adam Pock, we got to talk to him last week on the eviction episode. That was great. Mr. Bacon Man himself, he told us about his bacon and tofu ratings. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, go see it. Adam Pock from Big Brother 13. Check that out. It is on the YouTube page. In addition, as y'all know, while you're over there, once we get to 250 subscribers, we will be giving away a gold power of Veto signed by a former Veto winner. So come on in, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and let's rock it with For the Fans. Also, if you're watching live, make sure you're jumping in the chat. We're here to talk to you. The 5 p.m.ers are here. The three of us, the 5 p.m.ers. You know what I'm saying? The West Coast Warriors. We're here to chat with you guys as we go through everything that happened in yesterday's episode and give you a live scoop on the feeds. So make sure you check that out with us today. With that being said, y'all, let's jump into the episode because we're going to go through the episode quick because we got a lot of feeds to talk about.
Which is funny because we haven't had a lot of feeds.
Which is true, but not. We have had more feeds though than last week during Dire Fest.
That is true.
But yeah, we've had more feeds since then. Feeds were dire then. That was all the things that were dire. But
they had that they had the Dire Fest IT team.
Yes, Dire Fest, not Dire Feast. No feed.
No feed. It was just the fest. It was dire. It was bad. It was bad. But this week we did get some feeds, and we have a lot to talk about from them.
Wait, hold on. Before we get going, I do have a legitimate question. So me and my wife were talking about this right before we started, and she said that the worst HOH you can win is during a double eviction episode because you don't get any of the HOH perks. Like you get your letter, you get your snacks, but you don't like the room for the week. I said, you were right until about 10 days ago when they introduced Dire Fest. That is the worst HOH you can win.
No, she was still wrong because the best you can get is during a double because that means you're not going home. That's the worst. That's the best one to have is during the double. Yeah, you don't get the room. You still get your letter. You still get the snacks, but you don't go home and you're not concerned about this being your time. So that's the best one to win is the one during the double.
Yeah, the one right before the double is normally the worst one.
Yes, the one right before the double means you're in trouble. So the one before the double means you're in trouble. Go ahead, put that on a t-shirt. Get that on there as a slogan. But speaking of a double, we come back to the episode, right into the episode. We're back in the house because the end of the double eviction, it is the Dire Fest guys. They're going to be coming in first. And we got, just to reset the week for you, as y'all know, Jasmine and Joseph went out in the double eviction episode. And so we got Monty, Taylor, Michael, and Brittany sitting on the inside with Kyle, Terrence, Alyssa, and Terry outside coming back into the house. Immediately as they start to come in the house, because they get to see them first, you hear Monty say, "Oh, she's here." Because Alyssa was the only girl outside, and their job was to make sure she went home.
She did. She walked back to the house. That is her home.
No, she went back. She's supposed to go to the jury house, right? She's supposed to go to the jury house. And that did not happen. And they're just shocked to see it. The first thing they're like, "Oh, Oh, okay, let's see here. And then you immediately see like Taylor looking around. Where's where?
Well,
Oh my god!
Okay,
you heard
my
at the end
Lay's
of
potato
Thursday's
chips are
episode.
here. Now where's
Yeah,
Joseph?
Lane.
You heard at the end of Thursday's episode, and you heard at the beginning of this episode, somebody asked, "Is this everybody who's left?" Yeah,
Yes,
Joseph is not there.
yes. She counts 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not. This is not right. Why are you? Are all of you here? Where's Joseph? Where's Joseph? They give hugs. They're happy to see each other. Right before they went in the house, though, y'all saw it in the eviction episode. They put their hands in. They do after party, and they get that alliance like locked in right before coming in the house. But immediately we have Kyle and Turner acting like they're still leftover strong. What did y'all feel about that? What was y'all thoughts on that?
I think that's smart because if any of them win HOH, then you can just say, "Oh yeah, Joseph, that was all Terrence's fault. Terrence did that. He was HOH. He won veto. We couldn't do much about it. It was two of us on the block either way. So we're still strong. So that way, if a leftover wins, they could just sort of play it up and go, yeah, we're good, and then turn on them as soon as you win HOH next round.
Yeah.
It's sort of as a self-preservation move, is what I see.
For me, I just wasn't so sure, and we're gonna get into it as the episode goes. I wasn't sure how bought in Turner was. Right? I knew that Kyle was like, "Hey, f the leftovers. I'm ready to move on." But I was for Turner. He's like, "This was good for like right now, but like, I don't know. Like, I had no choice outside, but like inside, I got my friends here. I got the showers. I can take a shower on the inside. Maybe I can get back to looking at this leftover thing." But then they all go huddle around the memory wall. And this is something I want to talk about. They huddle around the memory wall. Jasmine's face goes gray. Terrence is like, our Turner's like, "Thank the good Lord. Finally, Jasmine is out of this house." And then Joseph's face goes gray. And Taylor just can't handle it. She has to like excuse herself and goes to the bathroom where she gets like a good cry in. That was heavy.
It's heavy because looking at how this season has gone for Taylor, he is one of the few people that has always been kind to her. Like the entire time she felt like he was actually her friend, like gameplay related aside. So to lose him, it's the like, I'm about to be alone in this house again.
Mm-hmm.
And to not even see him for like the week leading up to it, I get it. It's tough when
Mm-hmm.
your rock is taken away from you for a week, and then you come back a week later and found out that your rock's been smashed into a bajillion pieces. That's shattering.
Yeah. And like she said, like I didn't get to give him a hug goodbye, like nothing, because he's gone, and that was tough. And like I respected her for like getting that little cry in, and then like try to pull it together. It's like, all right, gotta be strong, gotta go back out there, be okay. And she heads back out there to everybody else, and immediately everybody obviously wants to know what happened on your side of the house. Obviously, the Dyer Fest was much more important to figure out what was going on because it was pretty straightforward for the leftovers inside. But immediately, Alyssa sits down and talks to Michael, and she tries to say that Joseph basically pooched himself, and that ends up being like the story going forward, which was like a lot of people didn't really believe. Like they kind of believe it, but they couldn't really like truly trust it. You know what I'm saying? Especially Michael, because Michael's very smart. Michael's like, that doesn't add up. That doesn't add up. And I thought it was a pretty terrible story, personally. I thought that was a pretty. So you're just gonna tell them that like Joseph said all these things, and we're gonna just blame Joseph. You expect them inside to believe this?
The part that I found unconvincing about it is they kept saying, "Oh yeah, Joseph said all these things," but they didn't say what things he said. Like,
Right.
if you're trying to convince me something, say, "Okay, yeah, Joseph was sketchy." How? What did he say? What was sketchy about it? Like, and that's the part that they all say the same thing word for word. Oh yeah, Jeff was sketchy, Joseph was sketchy, Joseph was sketchy. They don't say what he did that was sketchy. And that's where I would be sort of like grasping onto it. Like if they all said, oh yeah, Joseph said this one line out loud or something like that, then they could go, oh, Joseph said that one thing. That's something that could be vocally heard, vocally registered. Everyone can go, okay, that is a red flag. Joseph said that, he's gone. But they just said he was sketchy, and that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and like by being too vague, nobody's able to like. There's no details, which means I'm not going to trust you anyway. Because when you're lying, you're trying not to be too specific so that you can cover your lie.
Yeah. Well, just like Jackie said here in the chat, their stories were too aligned. This happened earlier in the season too, when they were trying to put Monty up, and Michael's like, "Why does everyone have the same story? If you're too aligned, it means you rehearsed this. That means this is planned out." So, as they're all saying, "Yeah, man, Joseph went out there and just blew up the leftovers." This is what Turner and Kyle are saying. Terrence is like, "Yeah, Joseph was being a little sketchy," and she's like, "Why aren't you like suspicious of Turner and Kyle also? If he was being sketchy and he was just saying stuff." This is all real interesting. So immediately after the four of them get together, they're like, "Yeah, man, they're lying. They're straight up lying. This is something that we gotta make sure that we look out for." And that's when Monty's like, "Listen, I need to make sure I'm okay with the pound. Because if I know that I have this other thing with the two boys, and if they are not leftover strong anymore, which it seems to not be if they're all lying together, I need to make sure that I'm okay." And I thought that was a clever move. I thought that was a good move by him, personally.
Oh, yeah.
Personally. And like, because he's like, "Listen, man, I know about the main thing, but there's this side thing." And when he's like talking to Turner about it, and I think it's a little bit later in the episode, but when he's talking to Turner about it, and Turner's like, "Well, listen, Joseph told her there was a side thing with Michael, Brittany, and Taylor." That pulls Monty in even closer to the pound. The thing I didn't understand, though, is that the pound already had a side thing. So I don't know why they wouldn't expect the three of them to feel on the outs and then work together because they are on the outs.
Right. The level of how indignant you guys can be. You're like,
how dare you have a plan?
The nerve of you to have a plan to get rid of me. How can you not invite me to be a part of your Final Four, like this Final Four I have right here that we're not talking about? So dumb.
It didn't make any sense to me, because like, you obviously should assume that the three of them that you're not including would have plans for when they're not included.
Yeah.
We all
and honestly plans. Monty was with them like the entire week ahead of that. He knew that out of all the other ones that Michael could have put on the block, he chose to put him there. So he should have just had the gears clicking just a little bit. He just Michael pretty much just said it. So
yes. Well, it gets even better, Ryan, because he's like, "Well, if Joseph was a fourth for them, I'm fifth at best." And it's like, well, now you're four. Like, if that makes you feel better, like, Joseph's gone. So congratulations, you just got a promotion. And so
how dare you promote me?
The issue with that, though, is when he was in the leftovers with the 7, he felt like he had the pound, where even if there would have been a split, he would have been in the 4 over the 3 in a majority after that.
Right.
Joseph leaving shakes that up. It's now down to a 3-3. And if his other two in his 3 are being sketchy and being like afraid of Taylor, Michael, and Brittany, that he doesn't want to be committing to being bottom of number 4 when he could just jump ship.
Correct. And that makes sense, right? And so you get them all going, pound strong. Pound, we're in here, we're doing this thing. Next up, we get the HOH competition. Because this HOH is going to kind of determine everything that's going to happen this week, right? Like, because we have two sides. We have two warring factions. We have the insiders versus the outsiders. I refuse to call them the after party. I'm just going to call them the outsiders.
So my favorite tweet of the weekend, and what I also refuse to call them the after party, they are the backyardigans.
So we got the
I
insiders in the
love
backyard again.
that. I
We
love
have the
that.
credit to whoever that was.
Yeah.
We have the insiders in the backyardigans. Obviously, Terrence can't compete for the backyardigans. The insiders, Michael can't compete, who's the strongest competitor on their side. So we get to the HOH competition, and it's the tiny veto comp, right?
I love it.
Which makes a lot of sense for the comp because I think there's only 6 spots down
Yeah.
there in the basement or whatever that is for the tiny veto. So since this one is a 6-person HOH competition, tiny veto makes sense here. So for those that don't know, the tiny veto, you have to usually build something with tweezers, and you have to put your hand into a little box and use the chopsticks tweezer things to place things. And whoever wins gets the little tiny veto that's hanging on the side of the little box that you're doing it in. Well, in this case, there was a little HOH key hanging over there, even though they have full-size HOH keys because it's a door. But they have the tiny HOH key in there. As the comp is going, Monty's looking close a couple times. Kyle's looking close a couple times. But in the end, the worst person for his own game to win, Turner, wins this competition. Now, Turner this is the worst HOH for Turner to win because Turner is good with the leftovers still. He's also good with the backyardigans. Like, it just makes sense for him to like throw this thing and then not be concerned about what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's the shucks, I didn't win. Tried my
Correct.
best, guys.
Correct.
I kind of disagree with that because coming back into the house, there is so much mystery between being the backyardigans and being on the inside. So you don't know if everyone on the inside has come up with something different. And when you were in the backyard, you just saw Kyle throw like Joseph under the bus. Who's to say that he won't throw you under the bus to save his own ass?
So this is where I disagree with you. I'm Turner, right? I'm thinking logically. I come inside, the insiders are like, hey man, leftovers. And I'm like, yeah, bet, leftovers. Monty comes up to me and he's like, pound though? And I'm like, yeah, pound. Backyardigans are like, backyardigans? And we're like, yeah, come on. Let's do it, backyardigans. I'm Turner. I'm like, okay, everybody's good with me. Everyone seems good with me.
But that's
Kyle
also
goes-
a product of anytime somebody wants to align with you, you're like, bet, let's go.
Like, right, fire. And so you go to, if you're Turner, if Kyle wins the HOH, you're like, cool, Kyle, fire, backyardigans, let's roll. If Monty wins, you're like, pound, let's do it, let's run, let's go. If Taylor wins, even if Kyle tries to throw you under the bus, right? Kyle already proved his loyalty by not wanting to put up Alyssa, right? So he already showed where his cards are. So if Taylor's like, listen, I'm putting you up because I got to get you out of here, according to Kyle, there's no way anyone believes that because Kyle's a liar. Everybody knows that at this point, right? So for Turner, that's why I say it was the worst one for him to win, him specifically. It's good for the backyardigans. That's fine. It's good for maybe the leftovers, depending on what Turner really wants to do. But you don't want to be in the position to make those decisions. I wouldn't want. Do you, Ryan?
It's a tough one. Because logically, I get completely what you're saying. There's zero need for him to do it. He doesn't have to do it. That doesn't mean that it can't be helpful for him. Because he can get the agency to sort of direct how this week goes. He can use it to like leverage and connections as you're going. It looks impressive to the jury if you get out a big player. And at the end of the day, even if he does go against one of the alliances, that same alliance is going to have to come back to him the next round and saying, hey, we kind of need your vote. So even if he wins, even if he sack stubs someone, those same people who he backstabs are going to have to be his friends next week either way.
Good point. Good point. That's a good point.
But here's the thing is, when you put yourself in this position where you have to take a shot within one of your own alliances, you're basically putting your game out there for the world to see, because now everyone knows whether they're actually aligned with you or not. And that's a terrible place to put yourself, which is why he should have thrown it.
I think it's a terrible idea to do that. at like final 12 when there's like everything going on. But when numbers get lower and other people have other agendas and you have showmances, you have trios, you have all these other bigger targets, you have some wiggle room. Turner as an individual, and there are other bigger targets for people to target even after whatever he does, I think he has the wiggle room to do this. If that makes sense.
I mean, I just don't see him. I don't see how he survives past this week, because the people that you're turning your back on could be the people that are winning all the competitions.
I mean, think about it. You're turning, and let's get into that, right? Because after he wins, he's trying to determine what to do. He goes to Kyle. He says, "Listen, I'm thinking Terrence, Alyssa on the block. Hey, easy week, leftovers, baby." And Kyle's like, "Wrong answer, bro. We're trying to like go with the backyardigans. The leftovers are dead and gone, just like that song. They're done." And he's like, "Oh, okay, fire. Okay, so we're gonna." Here's the thing, though, Kyle. Alyssa couldn't do shit in that competition. Her hand was shaky. She was like, she couldn't figure out what to do. She had like Parkinson's up in there. And
her knees were weak, her arms were heavy. That's what I got out of that.
There's vomit on her sweaty already.
Yeah, it was mom's spaghetti. It was
no, they don't have spaghetti in the backyard.
Terrence still also just bologna sandwiches.
Gross.
But Terrence won an HOH. He won a veto, but like barely, right? You can't really rely on him to go to battle for you. And the person we're going to battle with is Michael, winner of vetoes, ruler of HOHs. This is a terrible squad. We have literally like the Bad News Bears of squads here. and Kyle's like, "Bruh, we gotta ride. we gotta ride." He lays it out. He lays out the fact that this is a bad group to go to battle with. Yet, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, you come to me with that alliance, I'm a firm believer in you never turn down an alliance. But I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, no, it's way too early for me to align myself with these people when they can't help protect me in this game.
Yeah. I just couldn't do it. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. If I'm Turner and I'm in this situation, I'm like, "Hey, listen, Kyle, bro. Like, did you see your girlfriend out there? She was trash. You did great. You were right there next to me. But unless you win this thing next week, I'm going home."
Yep.
Straight up, point blank, period. But if I go with one of these guys, then next week, me or you go on the block with the other one, then they go home. Or Monty's riding with us. We're pound strong, baby. Pound. Yeah, that's a pound sign right there. If you look at it right there. So pound, you know what I'm saying? We're pound strong. Like, let's do that. Let's roll with that. Monty can win comps. I can win comps. Let's roll it. But I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. No. And I think that's really what drove Turner to do that, is talking to Monty. Because otherwise, after that, I feel like he would completely agree with you and go, comp squad's not doing too hot. Gotta get rid of Turner and Alyssa. But it's his conversation with Monty that I think flips the script.
Yes. So they talked to Monty. I'm glad you brought that up. Because Monty, they're figuring, maybe we get Monty on board. You know what I'm saying? They talked to Monty, and Monty's like, "Look, man, I'm number 4 of 4 with these folks over here. You know, we could be 3 of 3 with the pound, and we could run this thing down, because Michael is the biggest threat to our games because he physically is. He's won all these competitions. So if we can come together and we can go for Michael, like, we should probably make that move." And Kyle's like, "That's what I'm talking about." You know what I'm saying? Because that means we don't have to put up Alyssa. See? You see what I'm saying? Turner, that Monty right here, he's saying the things that I've been trying to tell you this whole time. He's saying all the words that I'm saying. And then Turner's like, fire. Fire.
It's funny because Kyle's like sitting there and he's listening. And he's like, all right, so that person, that person, that person. So let me clarify. And no point at this point, Alyssa goes on the block. I'm in. Good. Let's go. I don't care who you are.
I don't care who you are. Who's going up? Brittany and Taylor? So sounds good. Terrence and Michael? Not Alyssa. Sounds good. All right, let's run it. Let's go for it. And that's what he's going with. And then Turner's like, fire. I love it. That's a great idea. Let's run that. But we got to keep them feeling good. He talks to Brittany. Brittany, there's no way I'm putting you up, baby. There's no way I'm putting you up. I would never do that. He talks to Michael. Listen, y'all kept me. Y'all are safe. Y'all are safe. Taylor, you're safe. He tells everyone they're safe. Everyone.
When Frenchie did that last season, we all laughed at him because there was 15 people.
Yeah.
But when you do this with 7, although it's laughable because you could have gotten yourself out of it, it at least is understandable because at this point you could be aligned with almost, if not all, of the house and never have to prove yourself.
True. And that's kind of what they go and do. So we get to the nomination ceremony, and Turner goes up there and makes a move. He's like almost gleeful about it, and he puts up Taylor and Brittany. Shock and awe are on their face. Taylor starts crying. She cannot believe this because they thought everything was fire and everything was dope, but it was not dope. It's the opposite of dope. And the fire's out. They're so upset.
Yeah.
Michael knows there's a backdoor plan in play.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I mean, what else could it be? You're putting up my 2 closest allies, and there's a chance I don't play in this veto. It's a backdoor.
Mm-hmm. That's it, Ryan. Anything?
That's it. Well, there's do it.
All right. That's the show. That's the episode. Kyle's grinning, Turner's grinning, Alyssa and Terrence. DJ Showtime, spin the record, get the record going, whatever. That's what happened in the episode. If you're leaving now, take off. I wouldn't leave though if I were you because the feeds were popping. And if you want to stick around, I would do that because this is important. CJ the Keyboard Sarcasm, Ryan somewhere on the internet, watch Big Brother Maryland. I'm KG Fury. You got 10 seconds because I'm ready to burst. This is a lot of stuff.
I've been waiting for these people to leave all night.
Yeah. Okay. Non-feed people go. Okay. Listen. Everything we just talked about, none of it matters. None of it matters at all.
None of it.
None of it matters at all because just like last time Turner was HOH, everything he did in that HOH episode was thrown away over the weekend because a new plan comes into place.
You think Turner came into the house with the name Turn Daddy? Nah, it's because of how his HOHs go.
They straight turn
out.
They just straight turn. So okay. So first and foremost, let me just break it down for you. Taylor's on the block. Brittany's on the block. They're going to backdoor Michael. So I want to get into the first part of my bag. Michael knows this is a backdoor plan. The next morning, they know that Michael has to get picked for veto or else they're going home. This is a very simple week. The week will be done Saturday morning if Michael does not get picked for veto because whoever wins will use it. Michael will go up. Michael will go home. Straight up backdoor plan, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right?
Yep.
So Michael gets to work. He says to Brittany, obviously, if you win, if you're playing in the veto, you're picking me, right? Which is obviously, why wouldn't I? Five veto wins. Like, why wouldn't I do this, right? This makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Done. He goes to Taylor and says, Taylor, listen, if we're going to move forward in this game, we got to have the strongest group of us here. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Now, he said that he did not promise to use the veto on her. I want to make sure that's clear. He said we would need the strongest soldiers here to fight. He'll be still using it on Brittany. But he said, because he wanted to increase his odds of getting selected, which was genius. The veto draw happens. First person that gets drawn out is Monty. Ooh. Monty's in the veto. Second person that's drawn in the veto comp, that's drawn by Taylor, is Alyssa. That's the chip she draws. We got like 4 chips left in the bag, like 3 house guest choice. There's like 6 chips in the bag. 3 house guest choice, a Terrence chip, a Kyle chip, and a Michael chip. Brittany reaches in that bag, pulls a Michael chip. Michael's in the veto competition, baby. Michael is playing in the veto competition. Michael goes and gets ready for war. He goes to one of the bedrooms and he says to himself, all right, they think they're going to fuck with me. This is about to get vulgar, y'all. He says, they think they're going to fuck with me? That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to win this fucking veto. After I win this veto, I'm going to take Brittany off the block. Then I'm going to win the HOH. And when I win the HOH, and then he's going to say, give me that fucking key. He's going to take the key. Then he's putting up Turner and Kyle straight up. Because then he says, and this is very important, he says, if you're going to fuck with me, man, Kyle, I have so much shit that could ruin your game based on shit you told me. You don't want to fuck with me. So if I don't win, I'll make sure Kyle doesn't win this game neither. Straight up. He says that to the cameras, to himself, under his breath, in a whisper. If I can't win this game, I'm going to make sure Kyle can't win this game either. We get the veto competition. It's the slip and slide veto. The one where they have the slip. We get the little water poured in there. Normally that's an HOH comp, but they flipped it and made it a veto comp. So you got to go back, switch, pour the water. Feeds come back up. CJ, who's wearing that veto around their neck?
The king stays king. I just wanted to say, this dude is 5-0 with 1 no contest in veto competitions. And I say 1 no contest because he threw the one that Brittany won. If he would have locked in his answers the first 2, he would have won in 3. He
wins another veto, Ryan. Michael won again.
Damn.
He has tied the record for most veto wins in a season, and there's still 5 weeks left.
He's only half the people have gone home.
Yeah. He's just coming through and just slaying them, just taking them out. He wins this veto. He has the veto around his neck. Part 1 of the plan is in place. He is going to be taking Brittany off the block. Now he has to figure out how to get Taylor off the block, how to save Taylor. He reaches in his bag and he remembers, oh, remember that time Kyle was saying some stuff about the cookout? Now would be a good time to use that. So, Brittany and Michael have a conversation Saturday night. And in the conversation Saturday night, they discuss it's time for them to just tell everything that Kyle's been doing. It's time. But they want to check with Monty and Taylor first to get their feelings and see where they're at on things. So early Sunday morning, Big Brother time. It's probably about 8 o'clock. They go and wake up Monty, and they already have Taylor upstairs. She's in the have-not room, and Michael's like, hey, we got something to talk to you about. Now, when he woke up Monty, it was very reminiscent to a conversation I had once in my own life. So years and years ago, me and CJ used to be roommates in California. Yep. And we had a guy we were going to kick out of our house because he was never home. But we were going to kick him out. He happened to show up at like 6 a.m. And CJ is leaving for work and he wakes me up and he says, Kev, Michael's here. We got to go talk to him. Now, mind you, CJ was going out the door. He had no interest in actually staying for said important conversation.
Hey,
I was like, huh?
I had to get to work.
Wake up.
Get that money.
I tried to wake up my roommates, and I was like, hey, we got an important conversation to have with you. And it was important to have it early in the mornings. So I related to Michael waking Monty up and being like, we need to have an important conversation. So Ryan, Michael walks back up the stairs to the have not room. Brittany's up there, Taylor's up there, they're waiting for Monty. Monty gets up. He walks up the stairs. He heads to the have not room because they're going to go talk to them about the things Kyle had been saying. That was the planned conversation. Ryan, do you know what happened next?
I don't know what happened next.
The feeds cut to Turner sleeping. Legitimately, that's what happened for the next hour. The feeds were on Turner sleeping. So no one knows what happened in that room while it was happening because they cut the effing feeds. Piss everyone off. While this was happening, they cut to Kyle, maybe about a half hour in, 45 minutes in. Kyle's downstairs. He's woken up Alyssa and Terrence. And he says, right now, Monty just went up the stairs about 45 minutes ago. He's been gone for forever. They're talking to Turner to try to get one of us up on the block. We got to go. We got to go break it up. And we got to just go in there and get Turner back on our side. So Alyssa creeps up the stairs. Mind you, they're still in the have-not room talking. She creeps up the stairs. She opens the door of the HOH room. And Turner, the lights are out. Turner's asleep. She's like, oh, I thought everybody was in here. Turner's like, no, go away. I'm sleeping. Go away. Okay, I'm so sorry. She goes back downstairs to Kyle and reports back. They're not talking to Turner. Kyle's like, then where are they? What are they talking? What are they doing? They go look in the storage room. Not in there. He says they must be in the HOH room or in the have-not room. As they're walking up, they're thinking about going up there. Taylor and Monty come down the stairs. We missed the whole conversation. They didn't show us a single moment of the conversation that was being had.
Yep.
For a second, the feed slipped, and you see Monty's face looking pissed, and they flip back. Taylor comes downstairs. She's wearing glasses. Monty's looking a little upset, a little miffed. Taylor says, I don't want, I got my glasses on. I don't really mind showing right now. Alyssa says, your eyes are so pretty. She's like, not right now. Immediately, they call Monty to the diary room. Monty's in the diary room for about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours while they talk to him. They immediately after that call Taylor to the diary room. She talks for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. She wanted some time to herself. They talk to her too. We never hear how they feel about that conversation right after that conversation.
Nope.
It's a shame. But luckily, Brittany and Michael's plan has a couple prongs in it. So first, they talk to Monty and Taylor. Then they go talk to Alyssa and bring Alyssa to the HOA, to the have-not room. This conversation is on the feeds pretty much in full. They go back over the leftovers. They tell her everything that has happened in the leftovers, including the formation and how it was Kyle that formed it.
Yes.
As far as she knew, it was Joseph and Monty. And they're like, no, Kyle formed it.
But this is all something Daniel told you to.
They get to that. They let her know that, as far as they knew, Kyle was not going to use the veto on her and Indy to save her. And she says, that's what Daniel said. But Kyle, when Joseph brought it up, Kyle said that he was lying to the leftovers. And then Michael points out, well, how would Daniel know that he wasn't going to use it unless he mentioned not using it to Daniel? Because Daniel was not in the leftovers. So if he was just lying to us, why would he even bring it up to Daniel? That's when Alyssa finally has the realization that this dude's been lying this whole time. As the conversation goes, and they go week by week, they then say the biggest bombshell here, and the reason we've called you in here today is that Kyle wanted to create an alliance with you, Alyssa, Kyle, myself, Michael, Brittany, and Turner, because he said that he was concerned about a Cookout 2.0 forming with the remaining house guests of Jasmine, Indy, Joseph, Taylor, Monty, and Terrence. Alyssa's like, that doesn't make any sense. Those people didn't even like working together. And Michael says he doesn't say specifically due to their race, but he said due to their similar cause is why they would possibly be working together. She's appalled and she's like, did he say this? Now, Bean in the chat here says Indy is not black, and this is true, but because she's Brazilian, he lumped her in there with them because Joseph is Arab American.
Yep.
Indy is Brazilian. He lumped all the minorities together, the people of color together, because she was not one of them, if you will. And so he wanted to have a alliance with the five of them, which we knew for the last few weeks. Now, this is news to Alyssa, and Alyssa is appalled because she's like, I would not want to be a part of a group like this. Why would I want to be in this group like this? But that's when Brittany says, I thought that he already talked to you and Turner about this because the way he spoke to me and Michael was as if it was a done deal with the two of you. Because he did. The way he spoke was as if it was a matter of fact. Yeah, and she's like, obviously, right. She's like, obviously he cares about you and he does care for you. But this is what he's been thinking. That they all had a similar background and reason to want to work together. So they need to have a counter alliance. The five of them. Alyssa doesn't know what to do. She's shell shocked. Like, this is just a shock to her, obviously. She then says, are you going to tell Kyle? Are you going to talk to Kyle about this? Like, yeah, we need to finish talking to other people first. We see Alyssa leave. You hear Brittany and Michael discuss. They wish they had talked about this sooner. They wish they didn't wait on this for so long. But here they are. It's now important for them to go talk to Turner. Because their goal is to get Kyle on the block and send him home. Yep. That's the plan. Michael goes first and he talks to Turner. He tells Turner, I got some pretty uncomfortable news to talk to you about. And Turner says, I got some pretty uncomfortable news to talk to you about. And then Michael's like, maybe it's the same thing. And then Turner's like, maybe. That'd be fire. And then Michael says, well, I don't know if you know this, but Kyle wanted to make an all-white alliance. And then Turner's like, that is absolutely not the same thing I was going to talk to you about. That was absolutely not what we were going to say.
No, this is news.
This is some news. This is some news that we're going to talk to you about. And so we're going to break this down. So he goes over the details of the White Alliance, if you will. Now, he talks to him about, he goes through everything with Turner. Turner's like, this is crazy because I wouldn't want to be a part of this at all. This is not something I'll be down for. Now, here in the chat, Juletta mentioned that Michael and Brittany are playing game. They don't get a free pass with her either. They could have exposed this a week ago. Now, Juletta, this is I bring your comment up because what Michael said to Turner, it makes sense, and I'm with you. I don't know that this is the actual reason, but what he says to Turner is that he was talked to about this during his HOH, and Brittany and him felt like they had talked Kyle out of this because Brittany does have a conversation with Kyle that I saw in the feeds, and she's like, listen, like the optics of this thing is terrible. Like you can't just like have a group of white people versus all these minorities, especially when there's no reason for them to be working together, with Brittany and Michael knowing full well that Taylor is much closer to them than she ever was to Monty, Jasmine, Terrence, and the rest. But Michael says to Turner that the reason they didn't bring this up before was that they thought they had squelched it, right? They thought they had like gotten rid of it. It's whatever. Like he understood the optics, even though they were like, he didn't really like recognize that he did. He kind of doubled down. Michael said that during Taylor's HOH week, after Alyssa did not get put on the block. About Wednesday, Michael had a conversation with Kyle, and Kyle said, and Michael said, these words stood out, and then the rest of my paraphrase. He said to Michael, as a straight white male, I'm not sure where I land on Taylor's list, pecking order. She doesn't want to put up Jasmine. She doesn't want a woman to go home. I don't know where I rank for Taylor as a straight white male. And Michael's like, that's an interesting way to phrase that.
Yeah.
for you to be thinking this way. And he's like, yeah, I just don't know where I land because she refuses to put up Jasmine. And I know that Monty wanted to work with Amira because she was he saw her as a strong black woman. It was giving credence to what he was. It was creating this illusion that he already created, and it was giving it credibility in his mind, which was something that Michael was like, this is probably a problem. Yeah. And Michael said the reason he didn't bring this up before is because that happens the next day, moments later, or whatever, because it was either Thursday morning or Wednesday night. There's the eviction, and then they get split up into Dyer Fest and the Big Brochella. He thought maybe Kyle goes home. I ain't got to deal with this shit. You know what I'm saying? This is not a thing I ever got to worry about this. They walk in the house. Kyle's there. He's like, ooh, all right. Keep that in mind. That's Thursday night. Friday morning, they make noms. We saw what happened with the noms today. And that's when he was like, fuck this dude named Kyle. Because obviously Kyle has some hand in this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, up until this point, Michael and Brittany have been, I agree. I 100% agree with Julietta. So, like, Michael and Brittany have been complicit, for lack of a better term. So they're sitting on this information. Being black myself, like, if you sat on this for weeks before you told me, then fuck you too, because you let me sit and, like, think this person was my friend, had my best interest at heart. So, like, why did you sit on this? You don't get to decide for me if I think this, like, if this person has ill will. So they they share this information. You've gotten a little bit of it in the episode. So, like, to Brittany's point about sitting there and talking to him about the optics of it, you got about a 2-minute conversation on an episode where they made it seem like, oh no, we're not going to align with you, but it's whatever. Like, race was barely touched on. If you didn't know what they were talking about, it was just like, okay, we don't think this is a good idea, whatever, it's not important. That was a very important conversation in how Brittany and Michael moved forward, because they thought they had killed the issue, like you were saying. And then they find out, oh no, we didn't kill the issue. He just moved on to someone else. It's still a problem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so after they have the conversation while they're having the conversation with Turner, downstairs, Monty is filling in Terrence. He tells Terrence, listen, I just talked to Michael and Brittany, and there was Kyle's trying to start this, like, all white thing, and he's afraid of a black alliance being here. And Terrence says, if we're a black alliance, we're doing a pretty shitty job. I've been on the block every other week. And I was put on the block by Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's like, this is a pretty terrible job of a black alliance if that's what we're doing. But for Monty, it's starting to put a lot of things in place for him in his mind, right? He's like, if this is true, that's why he was targeting Joseph, because he feels like Joseph is in this group. That's why he's trying to protect Alyssa and Turner, because this is what he's trying to do, this, like, white alliance thing. Terrence is like, this is pretty fucked up that they're trying to do this white alliance thing. This is fucking crazy. Terrence then goes talk to Kyle, and Y'all know Terrence a little like fucked up on like what he understands. He
Yeah.
says to Kyle, Kyle, can't believe this shit. Apparently, Brittany and Michael trying to start this White Alliance thing. And Kyle goes, oh, that's crazy. I need to go talk to Alyssa because he knows what is actually happening.
Yeah.
You just said the names Brittany and Michael and White Alliance, and he knows who actually is trying to start this thing and where everything is at. And he's like, woo, this is bad for me. He finds Alyssa. Alyssa doesn't want to talk to him because they got into a fight the night before. But that fight don't mean no shit. Don't mean shit right now. So They had a fight the night before. Alyssa's being coy. She doesn't really want to talk to him because she's trying to like keep her distance. And he's like, Alyssa, what's going on? And she's like, it's not for my business to tell you, man. Like, I'm not in a part of this. And she's like, please tell me. And then Alyssa goes, well, listen, it's like some kind of like race thing or something that you're like putting together. Like that they said was like happening. And he's like, they're calling me a racist? And he's like, no. Like they said that they wanted like maybe like a cookout 2.0. He's like, this is beyond the game. This could ruin my life. If this is what they're talking about, I'm gonna quit. She's like, no. Calm down. He's like, no. Like he gets up and he walks out.
Yep.
He goes to the downstairs DR. He pushes the button. They say, the DR is not available at this time. And he like says, can I go upstairs? He goes to the upstairs DR, pushes the button. The DR is not available at this time. So he goes back downstairs. He's freaking out. He's wigging out. He got this blanket over him. He is so concerned about what to do. He goes to the DR. They finally let him in. He goes and he hides in there for hours. Upstairs, Michael is talking to, at this point, Brittany has joined. They're talking to Turner. Turner's like, so here's the deal. The troubling news I had to share was that Taylor told me that me and Kyle would be next on her hit list. So Taylor is my target still. Sorry. And they're like, no, but listen, you didn't hear what we said though about this racism stuff. Like you missed that. And he's like, no, I mean, I heard you, and I guess I could put Kyle next to Taylor, but whatever the house decides, the house decides. It is what it is. They're like, okay, well, as long as you understand, they took off. He says to the camera, this is wild. He says to the camera, this is wild. Michael and Brittany are good, man. I think they convinced me that it's best to put up Kyle for my own game, but I definitely don't want to be associated with the White Alliance. And for him to just feel like I'm in it and I'm down, that's crazy. I wouldn't be down for some shit like this. This is insane. So after those conversations are had, Ryan, feeds cut. Feeds are down for quite a while. The reason they're down is because Michael, when he won the POV, he also won this popcorn, this movie reward. So they're doing the movie reward. He takes Taylor, Alyssa, and Turner with him. Everyone's assuming that Kyle's quit. The internet's assumed that Kyle has quit. No one knows, right? Because Kyle is not seen for hours. Another thing that we did have before the feeds cut, Monty did talk to Terrence with Alyssa. Monty straightened out Terrence with what was happening. It was Kyle that was trying to start the White Alliance, not Michael and Brittany. Sorry, we had the signals crossed. But a lot of these other things now make sense. And that's when Terrence tells Monty, you know how we've been saying Joseph blew up the leftovers. It was actually Kyle. Kyle blew up the leftovers, and he said that you and Joseph were running the whole thing. Obviously, he had other motives in mind when he was pitching this.
Yeah.
Because they're putting these things the pieces may not all be the right pieces to the right puzzle, but they're jamming the pieces in there and they all fit. It makes the puzzle complete. Doesn't mean it's the right puzzle, but they're putting them together. Because I don't think that the move to get Joseph out was racially motivated personally. I think that he was trying to keep Alyssa safe. That's all he's been trying to do.
Right.
But when you put these other pieces in place, they fit.
Yeah.
They fit different puzzles, but the pieces fit. So Monty's like, that's wild. And then Terrence is like, yeah, man, this dude will do anything to like get this thing done. He's gonna blow up his own game, like just blow up the leftovers like that. Like, because he wanted Joseph gone. That's what he wanted to do. Because obviously he wanted Drew and Joseph to be prime targets for obvious reasons now that we know what's in this dude's heart. And Alyssa just doesn't know what to do, right? Because Alyssa's just sitting there. She's taking it all in. She definitely believes everything. Because as they're breaking this down, they talk to Turner, and Turner mentions there's no way Brittany and Michael would be lying because they're on national TV.
Yeah.
You can't just say this about a person and be lying about it. They have spouses. And when he says that, I didn't even realize that. That's a good point. Michael is engaged. Brittany is married. If they're lying, they have spouses. They have other people they need to look out for in this real world.
Mm-hmm.
This would be terrible if they were lying. They're obviously not lying.
And well, not only that, like these people in the house don't know that, but they have like real jobs with real careers that like lying on national TV about something to this magnitude would certainly ruin their lives.
Correct. And that's exactly what Turner feels. He's like, so there's no way that they're lying about this. So this actually had to have happened. And this is real troubling. And he tells Alyssa then, I'm pretty sure I'm putting Kyle up on the block. And Alyssa's like, I understand. Like, this is crazy. Kyle is still in the DR, Ryan, right? Yeah. No one's talked to Kyle. Brittany and Michael told Turner that if necessary, they will happily have a house meeting and air it all out in front of everybody, but they just wanted to talk to everybody individually first. It's a lot. And after it breaks down, the feeds go down so they could do the movie thing. They come back up and Brittany's crying. She said the people that were not in the house, Kyle is in the room, says he needs to talk to Michael first chance he gets. Brittany's crying. She said it was real rough for the people that were not in the movie. We don't know what happened, but from what it sounds like, words were probably exchanged and Kyle made his like feelings known about what's going on. And Brittany was left alone with Monty and Terrence to have to try to defend herself about what was going on. Feeds come back, then they cut again. Feeds are cutting all and down because they're, for whatever reason, CBS is not trying to show us what is happening with all this information.
It's crazy because, like, we've talked about it some on this pod, that there are people who watch that are show only, and there's people that watch that are feeds only. And if you only watch the show, you don't actually know what's happening in the house. Like, it's so different. I think CBS is trying to protect the images of their favorites by continuing to cut the feeds, because the people that they're editing in a positive light are the ones that have been expressing the most problematic views. And you're going to have all of these unpopular winners, because you go back, the last 5 or 6 seasons, how many of the winners have genuinely been popular when they left the house? It doesn't happen very often anymore.
Casey, that was kind of the only one, and she was under edited because she wasn't really doing much.
Yeah.
And so you're right. That's kind of like what happened. So, and with social media, it makes the game just so different because people have gotten people fired, right? I mean, all like season 15 essentially is canceled because of everything that happened because it was during social media. And like being said, Jackson Mickey is a prime example. Terrible person. Got to protect the winner though, because he's winning the game. And in this situation, Kyle's in a good spot game wise, but shitty human stuff. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that we didn't see on the feeds. This is something else that we didn't see in the feeds. But last night there was definitely a house meeting. No one saw it on the feeds, but based on the conversation that was had, the things that happened in the house meeting were this. Terrence came at Brittany and Michael for sitting on this information and said that they're just as bad as Kyle. I don't personally think they're just as bad as Kyle, but I do think that they're they were complicit, and that's not okay. See something, say something, but I don't think you're equated to the person as that did the crime, but you are not off the hook either. Um, we know that happened in the House meeting. We know in the House meeting that Kyle admitted that his motivations behind the Cookout 2.0 were racially motivated. That he looked at these people and realized that they had their backing, the backing that he was feeling that they were, was a racial thing. So he felt like he had to get the people that were like him together to try to go after them. He cops to it. In the same situation, Kyle said, well, since I'm going home, because it sounds like I'm going up and I'm going to be voted out. Outside, we made an alliance call at the after party. I have a final 2 deal with Turner. And that's what everything I got going on in this house. He tells everything what that happened to Dyer Fest, the truth. Everything that happened with Joseph. Joseph didn't pooch himself. I thought that we were going to go up. I'm the one that admitted everything that's going on with the leftovers. He just dimes everything out. Dimes everything out. There's tears, obviously. People are upset. Brittany's upset because she feels like they hate her and Michael just as much as they hate Kyle right now. It was a real strong House meeting. But Turner settles on that he will be putting Kyle on the block with the expectation that Kyle will be going home. Sunday ended up being extremely heavy. This morning when they woke up, Brittany said, I hope she can talk to some people. And as Jackie said, Terrence did clarify to Brittany today that part of his problem was that they didn't tell him, but Monty did. But Brittany explained that Monty asked to be the one to tell Terrence what was going on. And he did. He explained it to him. There was a lot of things that had happened. All of it is racially motivated. I don't know how CBS is going to edit this thing because they tried to cut out so much and they tried to protect him for so long.
Yep.
But it has made international news. It was on the Daily Mail today. It was on TMZ today. It's out there now. All of the things are just on the table. And Kyle knows he's going home. He knows why he's going home. They told him that it's important for him to tell them when he gets to the jury house why he's there. I don't know that he will, but they said, you need to tell Indy, Jasmine, and Joseph why you guys sit here. And hopefully you can learn from this. And he's like, I want to learn and grow. You're like, cool. Since he wants to learn and grow, that snake Terrence thinks maybe they should keep him in the house so that they can help teach him legitimately. That's what Terrence has talked to Monty about. Monty went to Turner and said, F Terrence, man. This dude wants to keep this fool here. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
This is you got to be kidding me. Monty says it to Brittany, and Brittany's like, oh, yeah. Oh, he said it to Taylor, and Taylor's like, oh, yeah. I'm not the only one. You're not the only one he said that to. He said it to Brittany, too. Maybe we should keep Kyle here so that way he could learn here. But the biggest problem is that he's sitting next to Taylor, and what kind of a message will that send if they keep Kyle here and send Taylor home for the things that Kyle has done and he's going home for? And Monty's like, yeah, man, I'm not like Terrence needs to go next.
You know, in the black community, that's some Uncle Tom shit.
Yeah. So that is ridiculous that he does that. In addition, Alyssa confirmed Alyssa confirmed to Brittany that she broke up with Kyle earlier today. So Kyle has nothing. Kyle's got nothing right now. He ain't got no job. He ain't got nowhere to live. He ain't gonna be in the Big Brother house.
He ain't got no girlfriend.
Ain't got no girlfriend. Ryan, you have said here, you have heard all of this. Tell me, what are your thoughts?
I've been listening, and I think, as you said, this is a very, very heavy week in the Big Brother house, but also a heavy learning experience, not just for people in the house, obviously, because Kyle needs to learn a lot, but to the outside world. And I think CBS, as a popular media source, has to show this. They have to show people that these are real issues. Because the reason why I like the Big Brother house, why I like the Big Brother game, is because of the idea that everyone can come in from regardless of what background you're in, meet new people, new strangers, make new alliances, forget the outside world. All that matters is in the house. But that can't happen because there are some things that are so much more important than the game, so much more important than your alliances, than your strategy, than competitions, than anything like that. And representation is one of those things. And we don't often get this to the full extent in Big Brother and Survivor and any of these reality TV competitions. And recently, they've been doing a lot better with having more diverse casts. I'm rambling a bit, but the first Big Brother season that I watched was BB17, where the only person of color in like the entire house was Davon. And she went flat out second. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that it's super easy for people to say, oh, I don't really connect with this person, so I would make this alliance. And maybe their all-white alliance isn't necessarily racially based as their basis, but it is so much harder when you are the only person of a community coming to a house where everyone else has a shared experience, a shared background, and have things where they can already bond with that, and you have to adjust yourself and change yourself just to fit in, and how much harder that is as an experience to not only be able to be yourself, but to make people like you and have to deal with all this added stress of not only representing yourself, but an entire culture and community. And it's just so much harder and so much more important than any alliance and anything like that. So I guess back to this season, with Michael and Brittany not saying anything, I think that was a game-based decision at first, because they're here to play the game. That's what they wanted to do. They're thinking, oh, if I say this about Kyle, it could blow up in our face. Kyle won't want to work with us. There's that whole strategy aspect there. And from a game perspective, I get wanting to play the game. And I get that. And I understand that that's their action and their reason. And I understand it. But as much as it is understandable, I don't agree that it's excusable. I think some things are more important than the game, and that is one of those things. Alliances based off of demographics rarely ever work in these games. You never see the bros before hoes alliances working, the gals before pals alliances working. They all tend to crumble and break because people and communities are stronger when you come together. Diversity makes us stronger, not only in games, but in real life too. And I think if you were trying to break that down and cut off any potential connections with people because of things that are completely out of anyone's control, then you're not playing Big Brother, you're not making those connections, you're not there for the experience, you're there dragging something else into it. And I don't know where I'm going with this.
Keep going, just keep going, just keep going.
It's heavy, and I've learned it a lot through watching these games. And in the early seasons of these shows, when I was first getting into these shows, I didn't really notice it as much because I was just thinking, oh yeah, obstacle courses and Survivor, that's cool. Oh yeah, fire. Oh yeah, twists, that's fun. Zingbot, he's funny as hell. And I didn't notice that people of color were leaving early, that other minorities were being voted out disproportionately early, because I was looking at the shows, and when I saw everyone on the screen looking like me, I didn't notice that, say, everyone else of color was pretty much voted out early into all of these earlier seasons. And I think drawing attention to it is important. And I think CBS has to do it. And I hope that they do it. But the fact that they're cutting out the feeds on all these important conversations makes me nervous. It makes me worried. It makes me concerned that this is a reality TV show. It's a reality TV show, and they're cutting out reality for their edit. For what exactly? And I get, yes, that all this stuff could ruin Kyle's life, but it's already out there. Everyone already knows. Yeah. So why not, if this is supposed to be a learning experience for Kyle and you want him to learn, help everyone else learn too.
I agree. I think you couldn't have said it better. I mean, if you want to educate people, this is something that you can use to help have people know what's going on. Why are you silencing the black voices, right? Why do you cut it when they're talking to the black people about what this man said about black people, essentially, right? This is why are you silencing them? Because that is one of the most important times to learn because you're seeing how they react to this. But we don't see a minute of that conversation, which also makes me feel like I will not see a minute come the edit because there's no way they're going to hold that part for when it's the most important, right?
One of the things is like, if you were showing us and then cutting away and coming back, like if Kyle said all this stuff and then he doubled down and then you cut away while he was doubling down, like that's one thing. But you're just censoring the entire message so that you can put it in the light that you want to show it.
Ryan, we're watching Turner literally sleep. Literally sleep. Everyone else is talking, right? And they cut to Turner sleeping. Insane. What is CBS doing? Because CBS could be a part of the solution, but I feel like they have no problem being a part of the problem, which is a bigger issue if we look at it.
Yeah.
And
realistically, when you're not showing this and you want to make sure it's edited from the perspective that you want to show to like soften the blow or whatever the case. Well, now let's look at the top of the organization and who's putting these shows together, because unfortunately, a lot of them look like Kyle.
There needs to be more people of color in production, and everyone knows that. There has to be, because you don't get change unless you have, you have people putting people on screen that look like them, obviously. So you need more people that look like other people to put people on screen. That's an obvious answer. In addition, you need people behind the button to make sure that things get shown. If you didn't show a house meeting that they had, fine, I guess. That's you want to save that for the episode, sure. But we know the stuff that was said in the house meeting. We know what was brought up. If you just show him talking about Turner's game, and then we say that's the reason Turner put him up, come on, man. We can't have that on Wednesday. That
Not
can't be the reason.
And I do have hope for CBS, because when the Leftovers were formed, you couldn't show the story of the Leftovers being formed without finally addressing the bullying that Taylor was suffering in the house. And although they only showed a fraction of what she went through, they did show enough to show that like this has consistently been a problem, and the Leftovers formed in part because they wanted to rally around her because of this was happening.
But that took 3 weeks. That took 3 weeks.
It took 3 weeks. And now Kyle's been having these issues again for weeks. It's been weeks since Twitter decided that this dude's got to go. Since Stop Protecting Kyle and KK Kyle have become hashtags. It's been weeks. So now CBS has let it basically fly under the radar with a 2-minute mention of Brittany's conversation with Kyle saying, look, we can't do this white alliance. This is why we can't do this white alliance. Again, if you weren't paying attention, you would have missed it. This whole episode needs to be about why Kyle is going up, because at this point, you almost have a responsibility to society to address these issues. If you decided that you're going to have this initiative for your TV shows, that moving forward, you're going to have at least 50% people of color, how do you not address this conversation? If you want to say that the Leftovers are one of the most dominant and greatest alliances in Big Brother history, because they had the mission of, we're going to have a black winner. Because
not the Leftovers, the cookout.
Or not the Leftovers, the cookout. We want to have a black winner. There's been 22 seasons up to this point. We've never had a black winner. Not only have they never had a black winner, there were 3 minority winners. You had Casey, you had Josh, and you had Jun Song season 4. And if you really want to talk about it, the way that race works in America, she doesn't even really count because Asians are typically like the first one included with the white alliance. Like in society, Asians are lumped in with whites and then they're the first ones cut. So
if that means you just have Josh and Josh won because they hated Paul more.
Yeah, exactly. Like at a point, you were going to have an alliance based on race that was going to rise. CBS saying that we're going to put more minorities in the House.
No, that's wrong, CJ. You were not.
It's the first time it's the first time they've been able to flourish.
Yes, because I was saying that you weren't going to have an alliance that was going to be of minorities because they would put 3 on a season.
Exactly.
They would put 3 on a season. There was no way to have that alliance before, so that you couldn't get it.
And that's why I say this is the first time it's been able to flourish. It's not that they did it because like they were always going to do it, but always going to do it when there's 3 of you. You better win every comp. That's the only way you're getting it done.
Uphill battle, baby.
It's crazy. And like having all of this in the background in the last few Big Brother seasons, having a winner in Jackson who was openly racist and problematic. How do you not address this now? You have to.
You had Big Brother 21. That happened. You had Jack. You had Jackson. You had the undeniable, right? You had Grateful. Those alliances were targeting people of color. Kimmy, Ovi, David, Jessica. They were targets for them. Intentionally. This was 3 years ago. CBS. This was 3 years ago on your show.
It's just Big Brother is different than other reality shows. So like we see this a lot in the Bachelor universe where somebody's on the show, we get the cast, and then we find out that they have problematic backgrounds and racism in their history and stuff. And like, yeah, you should have vetted them, but they're now on the show. The show's done filming by the time America has the chance to get pissed off at them. Big Brother is going on as it happens. If Twitter is seeing what's going on and you're not seeing it in the mainstream media, show-only people can actually ignore it and you can tell the story you want. But when TMZ is covering something's an issue, you probably need to address it because otherwise people are going to get their news somewhere else and then you're going to say, oh, CBS is also complicit in racism.
How is CBS getting scooped by other news organizations? How?
Yeah. You have CBS News. Scoop yourself.
Oh, man. It was a lot tonight, guys. It was a lot tonight. This was a crazy episode. It was a crazy week. It was a crazy Sunday, actually. It's just a crazy Sunday.
Hey, not only was it a crazy Sunday, but we didn't get to see most of it.
True. We've heard about it, though.
Yeah.
We've heard about it. So Michael wins the veto. Kyle's on the block. Kyle's going home. Everything resets after that, for the most part. Going forward, Michael plans on winning HOH, probably putting up Terrence and Alyssa back to business as usual. Maybe backdoor Monty, maybe not. Who knows what happens there. Wednesday's going to be real telling. You're going to get about at least 20 minutes before you're going to get 20 minutes in the veto. The way episodes usually structured, we're going to get the veto being done at about the 38 to 40 mark on our dials. Then we'll see what happens with they show for the next 18 minutes, 17 minutes.
And I fully expect the veto ceremony to open Thursday's episode at this point. But realistically, if CBS wants to do right by all of this, they need to open with the veto ceremony. Like, don't even do the who wants to pick players. Just open with them starting the veto ceremony and to spend this episode
No. You still have to do this. The show is still structured, right? So there should be the fallout from the nominations, because that was a blindside. We should literally get a talking head from Brittany, Taylor, and Michael. We should get the veto players picked like immediately, like because we got to rush it. We get the veto players picked. It's a slip and slide veto. Slip and slide veto should take. Normally, it takes 27 of the minutes. Give it 9. Yeah. Give it 11. Right? Michael wins. Now we're at the 27-minute mark of the episode. Let's get to work. In on the house meeting, or in right before the house meeting. Have the house meeting in the Thursday episode. Then the veto ceremony. Then the last words. Then the eviction.
Yeah.
You give everything time. There's no reason that you need to go deep on it. Sharon Stock says here in the chat, what about flashbacks? They're gonna have flashbacks. Make sure you're flashing back to what he was saying. I want to see as they're talking about it, flashback to when he said the things. Drag him. If y'all don't drag him, we'll drag him. You know what I'm saying?
It's not like they don't have receipts. They have the receipts.
Right. I forgot to tell you this part. While everything was happening, Kyle's TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter all removed hashtag BB24 from their profile names. They're attempting to scrub the Big Brother stuff from the name. Now the content's still there, but they're doing their best to get his social media in line so that way he has it off there. His Twitter was set to private. It was protected. I believe his Instagram was as well. So those things were set up already so that way he doesn't get attacked. I'm assuming comments are turned off. I have not checked, but they may be turned off already. They've already gone to work trying to protect this man. His Instagram is not blocked, but he's what's it called? It's the thing's been taken out of his profile. I know his Twitter's blocked because I definitely checked that earlier. They're trying to get to work, try to help him.
Yeah, it's
B Bean said it here in the chat. B Bean said Kyle even said he was worried about his past tweets. He said he ain't checked since 2012, so he doesn't know it was before that. People are digging. People are grabbing the shovel. This man's about to be buried.
So 2012, he would have been 18, 19. Mm-hmm. So he was espousing things then in high school.
Yep. That boy will never find a job after this. Or his mom will have to fix him grilled cheese and send it to the basement for the next 50 years. Gillette is hilarious. It's a lot. Dick's here in the chat. Dick Sergeant York. I know that you don't normally hear about what's happening in the Big Brother house until you watch the show on Monday nights. Dick, I want to know how you're feeling about this because I know you're a show only. Sheldon, I know you're show only. These feeds have been fire because this is not what they're showing you on the TV screen. Not at all.
And it's funny because after basically no feeds, the dire feeds of Dire Fest, and now this, you got people tweeting on at CBS asking how they can get a refund. When you go to cancel the feeds, whether you're counting Paramount Plus or you're canceling just the feeds, Big Brother related is a reason you can cancel.
B Bean says here in the chat, he will find a job, maybe even be president.
Wow. Wow.
B Bean. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Ryan, thank you for joining us this week, like always. Any
Thank you
final
guys for
thoughts about
having me.
everything? Yeah, any final thoughts about everything you heard?
Final thoughts? I have so many thoughts that I don't think anything will ever be final.
Yeah, give us some of them thoughts before we get up out of here.
Julie Chen always ends by saying, love each other. I think
Mm.
more important than that is to learn from each other. So I guess that's my final thought. Learn from each other, learn about different experiences, learn about different cultures, and I promise you'll be stronger after that.
So true, so true. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure you guys check out Big Brother Maryland. It is a Big Brother game played by Maryland students, University of Maryland students. Ryan is one of the editors of the show. So check it out. It premieres when, Ryan?
September 3rd, this weekend.
Go
Check it out.
It premieres this weekend. Check that out. You'll have quite a bit less racism in that show. So check that out. And if there was, Ryan edited it out. So, it is what it is. There's no live feeds. Ryan edited it out. You can catch CJ. Where can they catch you, CJ?
Catch me at Keyboard Sarcasm on all platforms. I tweet about the feeds unless they're down, in which case I might tweet about something else.
Yep. You can catch me at KG Fury. I tweet about the feeds even when they're down, and I am mad about them. And I tweeted yesterday about Stop Protecting Kyle. I wanted to see that important conversation that we needed to have. Also, check us out at For the Fans Reality, where we are tweeting about the show and we're making sure you know when our next episodes are. Also, you can catch Kylie and Trisha at reality_TK. They're doing that too. Make sure you check us out. We will be back Wednesday. We will be back Wednesday to talk about what happens in that episode. I do not have any faith in Big Brother of showing what's really happening. So we'll be here to talk about that. In addition, make sure you like and subscribe. We will be here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And we will be giving away a golden Power of Veto when we reach 250 subscribers. So please subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe. And check us out. We're here all the time. We're the 5 p.m.ers. We'll be watching at 5 because we're on the West Coast boys. Ryan soon will be a West Coast boy. Thank you for joining us. And as Ryan said, coming to you from live from outside of the Big Brother house, learn from each other and don't be racist, especially if you only got a 10-second pump and dump. Have a good night, everybody.